Hi guys. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah Donald. Everybody's doing good. Okay, so over the weekend, I'm sure you've heard this, especially if you're into Airbnb business. And being that I just spoke about Airbnb business like my previous video, and I run Airbnb business as well in Nigeria. And Airbnb business has happens to be one of those businesses that you can actually do from the diaspora, right? In fact, a lot of people, like in the estate that I run, one of my Airbnb businesses, a lot of them are in the diaspora here because with cameras and everything, it's you know how it is doing business when you're not around. Airbnb is one of those businesses that you don't necessarily have to be hands on. And for somebody that has spoken about Airbnb business in estate, because I love Airbnb businesses in estates because it's easier to manage for me. And obviously, I spoke about like the downside is that even if you don't have guests for 2 months, you're still going to pay the service charge. Now, over the weekend in Nigeria, a few estates banned Airbnb. Why? Because one of the most prime areas in Lagos, which is Banana Island, they caught a couple of thieves that come in there to like vandalize cars or steal and things like that. And the pattern was the whole shortlet Airbnb stuff. So the guys come in, they look around, they're able to know the security of the estate, how it goes on according to the police, that they'll come and taking an apartment there, and it just helps them to like survey. And most times the way they run businesses in Nigeria, I mean, if you've rented any or if you've had to book any Airbnb in other parts of the world, you know that you have to take a picture while you're booking it online so that they'll be sure you're the person that really booked it. You have to keep your number, things like that, right? But in Nigeria, it's not really the case. For a lot of them, they're just after the money. They want to book Airbnb. They'll just, okay, as long as you can pay. They're not interested in asking the person for their details and whatnot, especially when these people are not even from Nigeria. So someone can come and literally like create, cause crime or something like that and leave, and you don't know anything about them because all the person did was to pay. You didn't verify. So because of this, and the recent incident that they've been having, they stopped Airbnb in their estate. And of course, every other person, like every other estate, started like stopping Airbnb because they're like, oh no, if Banana Island, which is like a prime area in Lagos, can experience this, what happens to us? So a lot of estates who usually allow Airbnb use this opportunity to start saying no. And even the ones that allow it were like, okay, we need to review. This is the case now. This is what's happening. This is like the security. Like once the security, this is it. Because the police also announced and advised that for the people using Airbnb, they need to be like more cautious and things like that. So you might be watching it and you just bought a property that you want to use for Airbnb in your estate, and you're wondering what is it like, because I saw a lot of people saying that what is the fate of people doing Airbnb businesses, and that this is how businesses go off and things like that. So don't panic. I'm here to give you like the actual breakdown of how this is going to play out, right? So I saw this coming. I saw this happening because personally, I am someone that loves to live in estates, right? Ever since I started being able to afford estates, I love to buy my properties in estates for so many reasons. One, we all know that Nigeria currently doesn't have 24 hours light, and estates gives you this. Some estates give 18 hours, 24 hours, basically, where you do not have to deal with one-on-one or being the one to go and hustle generator, like all that water, things like that. So when you're paying for an estate, you're paying a full package, especially like if you're a single person that doesn't want to start dealing with like you live alone. So you don't want to start having a security that knows that you live alone, or things like that. So estate for me has just always been the go-to for me. Now I've also advised about estates in Airbnb in estates for the same reason. Now, estate came up like communal living as well. The whole idea of estates, especially like small estates, is that it's the whole idea is that you know your neighbor, you're like building a ward inside another ward where you come in now. If you have an emergency and maybe you're not calling the ambulance or something, somebody can help you. Sometimes they put on the WhatsApp group in the night, somebody might be having like a terrible headache. I've personally experienced this, or somebody saying, please, I have a terrible headache. Does anybody here have Panadol? And people are replying like, oh, I have Panadol, I have this, I have that, right? Even people go as far as like leaving their kids. Yeah, they can knock and be like, oh, sorry, there's an emergency, my help didn't show up today, please help me stay with my kids for things like that. Like they even go as far as doing estate parties. Like estate parties are like to bring people together, to know everybody, who you are. Connections have had to happen, even through estates. That's why some people, when they are looking to get houses in estates, they actually look at like, okay, what are they gaining, right? I know a family friend who actually got a job from somebody in an estate because she was just passing, and because she knows the person. Guy was like, what's up, sir? I'm looking for a job. Oh, my company is hiring. So basically, that's what it is. Someone sees you on the road and you're stranded, they know that, oh no, this person lives in my estate. Let me pick the person. Now, what does Airbnb and shortlet do? Like, how does it affect these things? This affects it now because you have people coming to your estate every other day, every weekend. You do not know these people. So it breaks that community thing. You open your door, your neighbor is like an old man. Tomorrow you close it, is a young girl. And so you open it, is a younger person. So it helps people now to be more cautious, lock their doors, remove the whole we are neighbors, because I don't know you. I saw you today, I didn't see you tomorrow. And then again, like they said, the security, the usage as well, because in a lot of estates like mine, we have swimming pool, we have shared things like common areas and swimming pool, playground, gym. So most times when these people come as one-on-one people, they treat it anyhow. They treat the properties anyhow because, of course, it's not their property, right? But you stay here. So when you're handling those things, you handle it with care because you know that, okay, you're going to contribute to repair of this thing. So you're more careful, unlike someone that is just going on and off. So yes, a lot of estates frown at Airbnb because of this. And even for someone that does business, that does Airbnb business, it is understandable. Again, like I said, even from us as business people, right? Sometimes we do not like to follow the rules. Everybody will tell you that things are hard, this are but this is simply the rules. If you're checking into a hotel, they will ask you for an ID, they will ask you for this and that and that. If you're going to, especially like if you're outside Nigeria, they will ask you for your international passport and things, so that if anything happens, they can even get hold of you. But you're just checking in these people, you're not doing the due diligence. Yeah, so that's why people are like, okay, we do not want Airbnb again. So what's the fate of the people now that have bought houses or properties in this estate that they're saying they do not want Airbnb again? And of course, they furnished it. Now, there are so many ways to go about this. Number one is to rent it out fully, 1 year. That's it. And stop your Airbnb business in that estate if that estate is saying no. So there's no losing, like it's still a win-win, right? Instead of doing it daily. Yeah, obviously you're going to make more money, as depends on the area where you have your Airbnb or your shortlet. You probably will make more money in your shortlet, or you make more money yearly. It still depends, because I know some people are like, oh, they make money during November, December, January, and after that sometimes they can go for like 3-4 months without booking guests, and you still have to maintain that place, right? Example, when the guest comes, you're responsible for the light. You promise them 24 hours light, so they can turn on the light and blast their AC, heater, whatever they want to, as long as they can or they want to. But when it's a rented place, it's not the same, because you as a tenant will be responsible for paying for that light. So yes, you rent it out if you're in that position, and if you've already furnished it and all, you can still sell the furnitures. Yes, you can put them online. Instagram, there are a lot of thrift places that buy like used couch, TV, and all like that. You sell it out, or if you want to sell the property, you sell it to someone who is willing to buy, the property with the things inside. Or you get like a 6 months, because in Nigeria you pay your rent yearly. Some take 6 months, some take a year, but you cannot evict a yearly tenant. You cannot evict a yearly tenant without giving them like, I think, 6 month notice if they are paying yearly. So what you can do is that instead of doing the daily shortlet or the monthly shortlet, you can change it to 6 months or a year, right? So, and someone that is taking 6 months will just automatically already take a year. So you can rent it out as a furnished apartment. And if you know one thing about Nigeria, you know that Nigerian houses hardly even come with a conditioner, which is so crazy. So if you're renting a place for a year, you're thinking about your AC, you're thinking about TV, blah, 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 blah. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, I'm coming back and I'm just coming back for 1 year. Can't I just rent a place that has all this? So you can actually change your own kind of rental to a place where you're now renting it as a furnished apartment. So it is still a win-win, right? At the end of the day, people's security matter more than anything. Now, is this going to affect Airbnb businesses? Yes, it will make people do their due diligence now, because when you want to buy somewhere, you will now be checking, like, is this area for business? Now, there are some places that they can never ban Airbnb. How do you know this kind of place where they can never ban Airbnb? Where the house owners are more, because most times the people that make these decisions are house owners. So if you're moving into a place now that has, like the place I showed in my previous video, I'm going to link it below for people that have not seen it. That place is block of flats. They can never stop Airbnb in places like that, because chances are the people that bought it rent it out. They bought it for business, so they're buying to rent out. So the fact that they don't live there, they don't care. Now, they also have what they call the estate manager, because someone asked a question and say, how do I buy a place? And the facility manager is telling me what to do. Now, when you buy a place in an estate, you're signing the terms and conditions. You're signing that you agree to the rules of the estate. Now, the rules of the estate is not the developer that will give you those rules. So the developer might tell you, okay, it's fine, this place is good for Airbnb. And when you get there, the facility management will say, no, they don't want to use it for Airbnb anymore. So that is the rule that you have to abide to. But most times, for these rules to be made, is if mostly the homeowners are the residents. They're usually, but most time when people are renting for a year or two, they really don't like to have much say. They don't like the place. They'll just enjoy it and say, okay, 1 year I'll be gone. But homeowners are the ones that can actually come together and say, no, for this, we do not want Airbnb to be happening here. And they will take a vote. And obviously, if you're in the minority, which is it. But places like that are like block of flats in such areas like Lekki, 1, 2, Ikate. Those places have chances of continuing their Airbnb, because like I said, most of the people that live there, most of the people that live there are tenants. The homeowners buy it and use it for business. The only thing that can happen is that they can change the rules, especially with what is happening now. They will tell you, like, I know an estate that put up rule now. They said, okay, we're still going to do Airbnb, but this is it. You must sign in. So whoever is coming in must be signed ahead with the facility manager, must blah, 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 blah. So if there's any form of activity, they have the person's details registered. So that means even you that is taking the client, you now have to be a bit aware with the clients that they're taking. And then they also said no to parties, which is going to drive out a whole lot of people, because most times people book Airbnb strictly for party. So is the Airbnb business going? No, it's not. If anything, it's an opportunity for people to re-strategize, and possibly a lot of people be like, do you know what, for this Airbnb business, I'm going to buy a standalone, because with standalone, nobody can ever tell you how to run it. So without buying it in an apartment, just bear in mind that you have to put a caretaker there who will be responsible for like the generator and stuff like that, which is still perfect, right? Now, one thing I also want to mention lastly about this Airbnb business and how it's gone down a bit in Nigeria. It did not go down because people stopped staying. Airbnb is something that will keep moving, right? Because at the end of the day, people come in with their families. They come in for dirty December. They are staying for an entire month. They are staying for 2 months. They don't want to stay in a hotel for 2 months. It's not convenient. They want to be able to cook their food, warm their food, and things like that. That's where Airbnb comes in. But what actually started declining the Airbnb market in Lagos was greed. Greed, greed, greed. The greedy owners of the Airbnb. So because they saw the surge, what happened was that they started increasing their money. No, the whole idea is that you are more affordable than a hotel, because some Airbnb do not even give 24 hours light. Airbnb is based on your estate. If your estate is not giving 24 hours light, then you are not giving 24 hours light. You can only back it up with inverter, meaning at that time when the inverter is on, you can't turn on your AC. So you cannot give somebody the same price with a hotel that is giving them 24-hour light. You cannot give the same price to a hotel that is giving 24-hour cleaning service, home room service, and things like that. Because some Airbnbs have cleaning schedule. They'll tell you that the person will come twice a week, or the person will come 3 times, or the person is coming, blah. Depends on the arrangement. So you cannot give the same price with a hotel that is providing all these things 24 hours, room service, reception, everything. You're not giving all this, but you want to earn. So when people saw the numbers and the people that were coming in doing Airbnb, greed came up. They started increasing the prices of this Airbnb. And people are like, you know what? If I'm going to pay for this, I might as well stay in a hotel. That is the only thing that will reduce or kill the value of Airbnb if people do not stop the greed. As long as people keep getting greedy and increasing the money, a lot of marketers were complaining this period during Christmas that they didn't get to book their Airbnb. And I'll check the prices of their Airbnb. I'm like, why is someone going to book it? Like, why not just go stay in a five-star hotel? Secondly, they were not maintaining these Airbnbs. Like, a lady did a video of the Airbnb that she visited, and I'm like, what? Why the curtains were dirty, the couch, everything. You're taking money, but the maintenance culture in Nigeria is so bad. Like, you're not willing to invest, you're not willing to maintain it, but you want to keep taking this amount of money. Now, for the Airbnb business owners, there's something called rent to rent, which is what I do a lot. I rent out my Airbnb full time because I don't want to do it like short. So I sublease it to someone, like is it what's called? Somebody will take it and pay me for like 3 years. And for that 3 years, they can do whatever they want to do with the property, right? I'm not allowed to sell for that 3 years or that period that they have it. So, but the catch is that you're paying in bulk. Now, what happened is that the people who are running it like that are leasing it from the landlords got greedy. So the landlords now increased the money because they realized that people are renting it out and using it for Airbnb. So they're like, oh, it's business. They now increased it really high. Now, for them to increase it really high, the people that are renting out had to now also increase it. So that part is just a human nature thing. It is greed. As long as if we keep being greedy, that industry is going to go. But if it's because of maybe areas not allowing it and things like that, no, it will keep happening. Like Airbnb is something that will keep working as long as we have people coming into Nigeria. I have people on a daily basis asking me to recommend good Airbnb for them because they're coming with their family. I have people that are building and they don't want to go rent, so they want somewhere that they can stay for 3 months. So it will constantly work. The only thing is just to be cautious, right? Yeah, to be cautious. At the end of the day, people's safety matter more than anything. So if the estate is saying no Airbnb, that's it. Go somewhere else where it's allowed. It's still your property. You can sell, you can turn into yearly. So no fear, nothing like, oh, Airbnb business is going, and somebody said something. Lastly, somebody said, but I have rights. And people forget that where your right stops is where another person's own starts. Yes, it's your place. Yes, you built it. Yes, you have rights. But as a resident, we're telling you that, no, this is, causing like a security breach. Yes, you have your rights, but not for your right. For your right doesn't mean someone else's right should be trampled on, right? So if that your right is causing harm, then something has to be done about it. Yeah, because I saw a lot of people saying, how would they tell us not to run Airbnb when I bought it? I bought it as a business. But that's why I bought it in an estate, and an estate means that you have to obey the rules and regulations governing the estate, different from the agreement you had with the people that sold it to you. Of course, they want to sell, so they'll tell you perfect for Airbnb. Da, 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 da. They'll take, if you contact them now and say that these people say I can't use it for Airbnb again, they'll be like, oh, when we sold it to you, that's what it was. But I'm sorry, rules are rules. You know what I mean? So thank you. If you want me to make any follow-up video or anything about businesses in Nigeria, please do well to comment, like, share the video, tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah. Thank you and stay blessed.